a few issues pertaining to the War Veterans and the War Veterans Association. I will start off with possibly introductions so that at least we know who we have here. We are actually here on behalf of the entire National Executive of the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association. With me, my name is Sam Pareringa. You used to know me as the provincial chairperson for Mashona Central Chapter, and to an extent also as a spokesperson for the National Executive. Now, from the recent elections which were held, I was elected the Secretary General, the National Secretary General of the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association. Next to me is Comrade Cornelius Muoni. You used to know him as the provincial chairperson for the Mashonaland West chapter of the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association. Now, from the recent elections which we had, he was elected the National Secretary for Information and Publicity. So I will be handing over that portfolio to Comrade Muoni, who will be taking over the issue of information and publicity on behalf of the association. On the far right, we have our vice chairperson, small body but big engine, as we shall see as we will be proceeding. She is known by the name Comrade Shorai Nyamangodo from Harare. Nyamangodo from Harare. She is our national vice chairperson. As I alluded to earlier on, I am handing over the function of this meeting to Comrade Muoni, who is our national Secretary for Information and Publicity. Over to you, Comrade Muoni.
I'm sorry, and let me welcome you all to this first meeting of the recently elected National Executive of the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association. I think you may recall that we had a lot of noise about having elections of the War Veterans Association. Now that we have held the elections, and along the way, we had some who did their congresses and so forth, which is not on our main agenda. But we have to let you know why we took long to have the elections held by the time we were supposed to hold the elections. I think it was supposed to be 2020, if I'm not mistaken. But because of the COVID-19 problem, we could not hold any Congress by the time we were supposed to hold the elections. 2021, it was the same. 2022, we were supposed to have held our National Congress, electing the new National Executive, but because of the political situation, not so bad, but we are talking of the formation of the War Veterans League that delayed our elections. And 2023 was the same. We had the general elections, the national general elections. So we could not hold the elections until we had to hold the elections this year. We finally held the elections. That ushered in a new executive. The new executive, which is led by Comrade Sifas Nwe, is what we represent here as we speak to the media. Honestly, after our Congress, we actually want to acknowledge the acceptance of the executive by the patron and first secretary of the party, patron of the war veterans, who is also the first secretary and president of ZANU-PF, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa. That led to our being accepted as the legitimate representative or national executive of the War Veterans Association. So that is the major reason why we are here. We are extremely grateful to His Excellency and the party. Vakatitambirawo mune zvakanaka paconference vakadedza the new executive ikatambirwa ikaintroduced to the party and the people of Zimbabwe by His Excellency. That was a milestone to us because pane vamwe vanga vaitawo macongress avo and so forth, but havanokwanisa kupinda kunosangana nevakuru, which means to say it was something else. We are not going to talk much, but after the election of the national executive, we are now planning for the provincial elections, which are supposed to be taking place soon. And we have a provisional date that we have given, which was given by the executive. It is the 3rd of November. Let us agree. 30th of November. That is the provisional date where we are going to have provincial elections held if all goes well. And we are so happy that with the new executive just elected, the national executive, we are not doubtful that the same scenario that happened during the national executive should be the same scenario that should happen at provincial level, that the elections have to sail through so well and so peacefully. We always anticipate the best out of it. That's the major reason why we had to call for this press briefing. We also have a situation where we have our own children. They are planning to hold their elections, but we are kindly requesting them to put a hold to their elections until the elections of the war veterans are done. These are children of war veterans. So that we will assist them in holding their own elections. Otherwise, if we just let them go without our supervision, imi munozvizivawo kuti baba kana vasati vaita zvavanofana kuita, vana vanofana kuti vateere tsimba dzababa. So the way yatichaita nayo ma-elections ndiyo yatinotarisira kuti tivabatsire naivo vaitawo ma-elections avo. I may turn back to the other two congresses. I think tinganyanye kutaura nezvadzo. Do we have anything to say at the moment? Or we leave it? Yeah. So this is the way we are going to run the elections of the provinces, and having filled the positions of the 50 executive members of the national executive. This is where we are, and we saw it fit to have the press here to get what we have as the new executive. Maybe you may have heard it without us telling you that we have now held a Congress and we have a newly elected executive. And the list of the executive members, I think, do we have to give them? Yeah, we may give you the list of the executive members immediately after the briefing, I think. That's as far as we are, and I will give a platform to the former acting spokesperson of the War Veterans Association. I can't have much to say today because we have someone who has been dealing with you for quite a long time, and maybe he has one or two words to say before we call it a day. That's where we are.
Thank you. Good morning. I think basically that's the message we wanted to relay. As a public institution, the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Association always have their things transparently in the open. So our elections were well advertised. I think you all got pieces of those adverts. Equally true, we also want to do the same for the provincial elections. This is a public entity, everything has to be done in time. So we are requesting that you could then relay that information to the public so that everybody knows that we are now going for the provincial elections, and then just after provincial elections we then get the districts and our structure will be complete. Unless if you have any other questions which you might want to ask, we are prepared, the three of us, to entertain those questions.
We have national members in that province. We have provincial members incoming, not incoming, but the current provincial members of that province. We also have district executives in that province. They form the electoral college of the province. Yeah.
I think that one, we are going to have our first inaugural meeting as the elected new executive, where we are going to look into our constitution to see whether there could be any way possibly they could be accommodated. There are talks along that line, but as of now, nothing has happened. But as you heard, they've all got to work with the elected executive. So we are working with them. But whether they will have another position, I think we'll leave that to the next conference when we have all the executive members. And we then talk of the constitution. Well, it has to be within our constitution.